Hello, Point Park baseball fans. We're here with head coach Loren Torres, getting ready for the 2014 season. Coach, I want to thank you for taking the time with us to talk about the upcoming season.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get going this weekend and looking forward to a new challenge.
Absolutely. The season gets going this weekend in mid-February already. Coach, talk to us how the fall went and the winter months here in January and February, in the winter where you were in an indoor training facility. But are you ready for the season? How'd the fall and winter go?
We had a good fall. And the fall's always an opportunity for guys to earn a role within the team. And I think that we've declared some positions out there, and we feel good about going into the preseason and now going into the season. But we had a good fall and a good preseason, and guys are excited to get going.
Now it's a new year with some new faces at some positions, but you also have a lot of players, some experienced players returning. Given all that, do the goals remain the same for this year's team, and what are the goals of this year's team?
Our standards at Point Park are high, and they're always going to be high. We want to compete for a national championship every year, and so the goal doesn't change, and the way we prepare, doesn't change. We always prepare, as well as we possibly can, regardless of the talent that we have. But the goal hasn't changed. We want to stand tall at the final out, and we want to go one step at a time and do well this weekend, and then in conference tournament, and hopefully we have an opportunity at the end of the year to play for a national championship. But one step at a time, but the goal hasn't changed. We want to stand tall at the final out.
Absolutely. Coach, you've been to the national tournament the last 2 years. You've been ranked in the final NAI Top 25 poll of the year each of the last 3 years. Do you feel like you've established your program as one of the better ones in the NAIA? And how has that come about, that you've gotten in the top 25 consistently in national tournaments?
Every year is different, and I believe that this team's going to have to prove that they can compete nationally again. But we have recruited heavily and brought in some key pieces to help us compete nationally year in, year out. Now we prepare well, and we work very hard to get that talent to work for our program. But it's important that we stay humble and hungry, and that we take this year as a new experience and go into it with our goals, but also knowing that we have to, at the end of the day, play well between the lines, and the history is not going to do it for us.
And it's taken a lot of work to get there, but is it even harder to stay there? Like you said, you kind of touched on that. New year, it's up to these guys to do it for this season.
Yeah, well, being consistent, it's difficult. When it comes to hitting, fielding, anything, life, consistency. I think it comes with a lot of work, and we've put that on the front end. So that has allowed us to continue to compete nationally. Is it a challenge to do that? Yes, because it takes consistency. But we're willing to put forth the effort and the work on the front end in order to continue to compete nationally, but it is difficult.
Now, Coach, you were 39-16 last year, made it to the NAI opening round, KIAC tournament, and regular season champs. You accomplished a lot last year, but you lost 8 seniors from last year, various positions. What did they bring to the table, and have you replaced that, or have you found that in the fall or winter?
It's always difficult to replace a large, talented class. Now we do have a good group and a large group still returning that were juniors and sophomores last year. So we have a good core of leaders on the team, but it's going to be difficult to replace those 8 seniors, and I think that we've done a good job on the recruiting end to bring in some key pieces to complement the returning guys and put ourselves in a position to continue to be successful.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Coach, is although you lost those 8 seniors, among them your #1 starting pitcher, the setup man of the bullpen, the closer, your entire starting outfield, and a first baseman who led you in home runs and RBIs. Even with that, you have 11 of your 21 players are seniors, so you have the experience you're talking about. You have 4 of the 9 hitters returning and 3 of the 4 weekend starting pitchers back. The roster looks good on paper with some talented guys, but will you have to wait until you actually start playing the games to find out about some things? What are your thoughts going into these first games? You haven't played any games yet.
We have prepared and put ourselves in a position to be successful. Now our identity, it's going to be determined once we get playing, and that's where the question is: what's our identity going to be, and how well can we define that and build on it? But I think that we're going to find out who we are and our process and the road that we're going to take, once we get playing. But that's always a question mark. And from our end, we control what we can control, and that's being ready on day one.
Do you have a motto, Coach, of this year's team or your program, something you preach every day? Maybe you touched on it just there.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that generates as you start playing. And there's definitely this group is a lot of fun, but we also have a lot of guys that are mature in that sense, and we're excited to get on the field and see what that identity is going to be. But it's one of those things where you have to play first.
Who are the leaders of this year's team, Coach? Like we said, you have 11 of the 21 players are seniors, so not many freshmen or sophomores. So is that a major plus, all the seniors, and who are the leaders?
And that's one of the fun things about this group. We have 11 leaders plus a few on the juniors and sophomore end, but we have a lot of guys that are leading and that are mature. So our job as coaches has been less stressful on the character and the discipline, and we've had an opportunity to concentrate on the baseball end a little bit more this fall because of the amount of leaders we have. I know that it's gonna pay off once we get playing, and in order to hit the ground running and be able to have a solid start, you have to have a good group of guys that are experienced and have been there before.
Now, what does this team do well? What are the strengths? What kind of team are you going to be? Pitching, defense, hitting, or if you could elaborate on that.
I'm always a big believer that you're going to go as far as your pitching staff takes you. Now, teams that compete nationally, they're on paper they're going to be solid offensively, and they're going to have a lot of talent on the defense and be able to pitch. So in that sense, we have to play and see what our strength is going to be. But we do have a good core of pitchers that are going to lead the way, and we're going to go as far as our pitching staff takes us. But I feel good about where we are with the hitting, and I feel good about where we are with the pitching. Our defense, we'll see how that shapes up throughout the course of the year. A strength will be determined once we play. But I feel good about all our areas.
Now, getting into some specific positions, let's start with the pitching, where you have 3 of the 4 starting pitchers from the weekend conference rotation back. Who are the pitchers that make that up, and how much are you relying on them to put your success in their hands?
We're starting the year with our conference or 4-man rotations. It's going to be made up of Manny Perdomo, Isaiah Marsh, Nate Spahn, and a newcomer, Alex Mateo. Those are going to be our 4 guys going into the beginning of the year as conference starters or weekend guys. We feel very good about all 4 of them, and I think that again, in order to compete nationally, you have to have a strong pitching staff, and we'll go as far as they take us.
Talk to us about Manny Perdomo, the guy who I assume you're leaning on as the ace. What can we expect out of Manny this year? What is he capable of? I mean, last year he was arguably the best pitcher in the KIAC, especially the last month. One of the hottest pitchers in the NAIA last year, won the pitcher of the week nationally 1 week. What can we see out of Manny? Is he ready for a big senior year?
He's definitely one of our better pitchers, and he'll be that one of those key pieces to our success. Manny is very talented, and he's getting some pro looks. But at the end of what we're looking mainly out of Manny is to be a leader within that pitching staff, and he's done a good job of that in the fall, and he's taken upon himself to be the leader within the pitching staff, and we feel good about having him lead the way and about his talents. But he's definitely one of our key pieces.
Talk to us about the multi-year starters there. Isaiah Marsh, senior right-hander, and Nate Spahn, junior left-hander. Those guys have started a lot of games. They've been in the starting rotation their whole career, pitched a lot of games, won a lot of games. Are they even better than what they were last year, or have they improved at all, or more the same? Or where are Marsh and Spahn going into the year?
They have. They're both, have gradually and gotten better. But what we again, they're gonna out of the X's and O's, they're gonna pitch really well for us. There is no doubt about that. Now, the leadership is what they bring to the table. That's gonna help us again compete nationally. They're great leaders, and I have no doubt that they're gonna be successful on the mound. They've prepared well, and they're very talented, and they compete. Which is the other thing. They're competitive strong before their technique strong, and that right there will take you a long way.
Now tell us about the new guy in the mix there, Alex Mateo, a Broward College transfer. What kind of pitcher is he? Is he like a 1-2 type pitcher for you, more top of the rotation type?
Very competitive, and he had a great fall. He had over 30 strikeouts to maybe 2 or 3 walks the whole fall. And he's gonna get on the mound, and he's gonna compete. He's gonna be on around in 3. He's gonna attack the strike zone. He's got a very good curveball, changeup, and he's our four starters that I just mentioned are all equally talented and can get on that mound and do the job for us.
So it seems like you're pretty good there in the starting rotation, particularly on the weekend. But let's talk bullpen, where we mentioned Lautzenheiser and Brooks emerged last year. But who do you have in the bullpen?
We're going to start the year off with John Corcoran playing that setup role that Josh Brooks played so well last year, and then Toby Agner is going to play the closer role for us that Ryan Lautzenheiser played. Now that's a very important role, and we're going into it with those 2 guys as front runners for that job. And their time on the mound and how they do will dictate, if in fact they keep that role. And but we do have other quality arms out of that bullpen that we can count on. And again, Josh Brooks and Ryan Lautzenheiser did a very good job for us last year and helped us, win.
Absolutely, that was the bullpen, 2 guys, and they got it done. Switching from pitching to hitting, last year you led the country in team batting average, 344 as a team. Is your team better at the plate this year, and is it possible to have a better year at the plate even if you don't have that high average or lead the country in hitting? Is that possible?
We're at this point we're a better hitting team than we're a defensive team. I feel like we have on paper a better hitting team than last year. Now we have to play, we have to compete and be competitive strong before work technique strong at the plate, and that is we'll find out when we start playing. But on paper, we are better offensively than we were last year, and whether or not we end up having a better year at the plate will be dictated by putting pressure on the defense, continuing to stay within our system, eliminating the strikeouts and the fly balls, and that's going to give us a chance to compete again for a national batting title, which is it should be our goal.
Now, looking at that 344 average, is that what you look to measuring your offense? Is it on base percentage? Is it home runs, RBIs? What do you measure it by?
Pressure on the defense, quality of bats, minimizing our strikeouts and fly balls. I think that one of the things that we could have done better last year was eliminating our strikeouts and fly balls, and we did lead the country in hitting, but I think that there's room for improvement there, and we can, if we can put pressure on the defense daily and have our pitchers attack the strike zone and compete, we're going to put ourselves in a position to win every day.
Now, talking about some individual hitters, you have 4 of the 9 hitters in the lineup back. I guess start with your preseason All-American third baseman Jordan Kroll, defending KIAC Player of the Year, and the NAI individual batting champion, 441 last year. Some of your top hitters, starting with Kroll.
Another guy that's getting professional looks, and talent-wise, I have no doubt that he's going to play good defense and have a great year at the plate. Now, what he brings to the table is that leadership. He's going to show up every day, and he's going to make sure, as a leader, that everyone's buying into our system and is just as energetic on day one as they are on our last day or our non-conference midweek game. And he's turning out to be the heartbeat of our team. He's that guy that's ready every day and is energized and does everything to puts the team first and winning first. So we're very, very happy to have Jordan Kroll on our squad.
Now, he's going to be one of those bats in the middle of the order. Who else are you looking to produce in the middle of that order, or wherever you want to start within the lineup? How is that going to be made up?
Well, we have Casey Clinton, that a newcomer that we think will hit in the middle of the order. Javi Marticarena's back. He'll hit in the middle of the order. Ozzy Alfonso, our catcher, will hit in the middle of the order. Tom Burko, we're still debating whether we're gonna start him in the middle of the order or he's gonna hit on the top of the lineup. But we're deep offensively. We have a lot of talent, and 1 to 9 could be shifted. At the end of the year, even our 9, the guy that will hit 9 hole. On the first weekend could end up being our 3-hole guy. But we have a lot of talent. Again, they're going to have to stick to putting pressure on defense and being mentally tough. But the talent on the front end is there.
I want to focus in on 2 guys. First, Tom Burko, arguably your best hitter, 4-year guy. Is he your best hitter and best approach, or what does Tom Burko bring?
Again, we have 11 or 12 guys that could at any moment be our 3-hole guy, and Burko's one of those guys that he's had 3 solid years for us, and he was on that World Series team as a starting second baseman. Started for us at second base last year. He's battled through some injuries, and he's mentally tough. He competes, and one of those guys that you want on your team. You don't want him playing against you, and I'm very proud of what he's done with his career here at Point Park, and he's another guy that what he brings to the table on the leadership end is more important than the X's and O's, even though he's very, very talented.
Now let's talk about another individual, Javi Marticarena, who last year was a down year for him because the previous April of 2012 he had the knee surgery and the ACL injury. It took almost all year. He wasn't the same last spring. Is he back? Is he? Where is Javi?
Javi's swinging the bat. He's swinging the bat the way he swung the bat 2 years ago. And I'm excited to see him out there because I know he's going to have a great year. And he's made some adjustments, and he's not favoring the leg anymore, and the whole thing's just clicking again for him. And I'm happy because he struggled last year, and he fought through it and fought through it and fought through it. And between the coming back from the injury and a few things that he was working with, it just he never got going like he did 2 years ago. And he's had a great fall. He's swinging the bat consistently, and I'm very excited to see how he ends up doing this year.
Let's touch on another couple of guys. Ozzy Alfonso, even Jonathan Tassis, battling for some time. Those guys, we see them progress every year. Where are they at with their hitting?
Well, again, we have 9 guys. Like JT, Jonathan Tassis could end up being our 3-hole guy at the end of the year. He's going to start for us. Whether it's in left field or first base, but he'll be in our lineup every day. And Ozzy Alfonso, he's been our starting catcher for the last 2 years, and he handles the pitching staff really well. Him and Tyler Catapan, and again, both of those guys are gonna hit middle to back end of our lineup.
Do you feel like you have the table setter type players, the top of the order, first and second, and who might that be? Or just like you said, trying to figure it out 1 through 9. That's
something that we're trying to figure out. I think that we're having in the middle of our lineup. We have a lot of guys that can hit in the middle, and we have Michael DeJesus, who just came in, transferred in, and he's going to start at shortstop for us. We think he's going to be top or top of the lineup, bottom of the lineup, 1-9, 2-8, and same thing with Uliser Arias, and we might hit Burko leadoff. So we do have some options there, but we do have a lot of guys in the middle, and the table setter, like you say, we're gonna have to see how that goes and how it plays out.
Yeah, it really seems like 3 through 7 can hit for power, hit for average, hit the gaps, and really do the things you want to. But I'm sure you can find the 8, 9, 1, 2 around that. Now talking defense, switching over from offense to defense. Let's start with the outfield, where you have to replace all 3 starters in the outfield. Rob Novia, Tom Pazinski, Don McDuffie left to right. You do have Javi Marticarena, who's grabbing a glove. He's not going to be the DH, he's going to be right field. But how do you feel about your outfield defensively?
I mean, we're replacing the entire outfield, and the outfield that we're replacing was the outfield that went to the World Series in 2012, and they started the whole year last year. So we're looking at a completely new outfield. Javi was a DH for us the last couple of years, and he'll be playing right, and then we'll have 2 new faces out there. We'll see how that plays out. That's probably our biggest question mark right now. If we had any space for uncertainty on how that's going to play out, and that's the outfield. But I have a lot of confidence. Our outfield coach, Rocky Capobianco, he does a great job, and I feel very confident that he's gonna do a good job with that, and we're gonna play good defense out there.
Rocky always has the guys ready out there in the outfield, Coach Capobianco, and to zero in on one, Uliser Arias, who's going to play center field, maybe the best athlete on the team. He's a shortstop by trade. Tell us about him, but you have to put him out there in center field, and how's he doing?
Well, throughout his life, he's always played short and center, and he's an athlete again. Defensively, he could play anywhere, including catch. I mean, the kid is a very good utility player, and he'll play center, and he's got a very good arm. He'll cover some ground. Again, we'll have to see how it plays out. We also have Shane Conley, who runs really well and has a very good arm and swings it from the left side. He's competing for a job in center too. And but again, the outfield, we're gonna have to play a little bit to see how that's gonna play out defensively. I have no doubt that we're gonna do the job. Who's gonna be out there will be determined by how they do and how things shape up. But I feel like we have one of the best outfield coaches in the country, and Coach Capobianco, and we'll be ready.
I'm sure we'll have them ready. Let's talk infield now. You have returners at third base, Jordan Kroll, and second base, Tom Burko, where Burko is arguably the best second baseman in the KIAC. And then new faces at short and first. Talk to us about your infield.
Well, we're set for having Crowell at third base, Michael DeJesus at short, Tom Burko at second, and then either Oscar Romero or Jonathan Tassis at first. And we feel very good about it. That's probably more set in stone than the outfield. But again, Crowell and Burko are two guys that are leaders, and they've been through it. And DeJesus is very, very talented. So I think that we have a very solid defensive infield.
How did DeJesus respond to coming in at the semester? Had to catch on quickly.
Yeah. He's blended in really well with the chemistry and the synergy of our team, and we're very, very fortunate to have him.
And the last defensive position behind the plate, where you don't get much more solid than Ozzy Alfonso, 3-year starter, and Tyler Catapan, the backup. You can't have one guy catch all the games, but how are you with catcher?
Well, Tyler has worked himself into being, we're going to have two starters out there, and Tyler's going to be catching half the games, and the other half will be caught by Ozzy. If in fact one of them DHs when they don't catch, will be determined by how they do, hitting wise. But both of those guys are keys to our success, and you go as far as your pitching staff takes you, but the catchers handle the pitching staff, and they have done a great job the last couple of years.
That wraps up the look around the diamond. But lastly here, Coach, you're number 19 in the NAI preseason top 25. Do you put much stock into that? Obviously you want to stay there, but what's your thoughts on that?
We appreciate the respect by the NAI coaches, and we want to make our own breaks. And for us to go to the national tournament again and end up in the World Series, we have to win our conference tournament, and that's going to be our first goal. And then moving from there and trying to win the opening round to get to Lewiston, Idaho. But that's just like an award or a trophy. You earn it, and you feel good about it, and that's where it ends. I think that you have to do the job between the lines and make your own breaks out on the field.
And the last thing to cover here is the KIAC. How do you see that shaping up? You are picked as the preseason favorite. Indiana Southeast figures to be good once again. They were a very formidable opponent down in the KIAC tournament finals last year. Your thoughts on how the KIAC will go?
Very competitive conference. We were hit with that early on last year. I think we were caught off guard. I think at the beginning of the year where we split some doubleheaders, and every team has the possibility to beat you, and you have to go into it hungry and humble and making sure that you do your job and you're mentally tough day in and day out. Again, we respect every team, and we have to show up and with more than just talent. We have to show up with hunger and be relentless and stay with our approach and be competitive every day to be successful in our conference. And if we do that, we'll I have no doubt that we'll be able to be successful.
All right, Coach Torres, that'll do it for this preseason interview. I want to thank you for taking the time and wish you all the luck this coming 2014 season, which gets underway this weekend. Check online for all the games. Will be live coverage on the Point Park Sports Network and the Point Park Athletic website with the game recaps and so forth. Coach, we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.